All right. Good morning, everybody. Today we have a great episode of the T Podcast. So we're going to be talking with a fellow leadership Lafayette classmate, Nicole R. Johnson. She is the owner of CPR to Go, local farming entrepreneur, and like I said, a leadership Lafayette classmate. She does a lot of other things. She's involved in Fightingville Fresh. She's involved with the Fresh Growers Collective and L4S Farms. We're going to be talking about all that and more. And so just stick with us. All righty. So before we get too far, I'm going to let you know about our presenting sponsor, Chase Group Construction. They take the lead and become your one point of contact for the entire design build process. So if you're looking to build a new business, new structure, or renovate a business, they are your people to go to. They have a diverse portfolio of projects that range from medical to popular restaurants and to multi-unit shopping center developments. Their website is chasegroupconstruction.com. You can check them out online, Facebook, Instagram. He makes a ton of videos. He does like his own progress updates of the businesses that he's helping build. And super great guy, local, and they are supporting us. So check them out. All righty. So, Nicole, how goes it?
It goes.
Look, let's move the microphone a little closer for you. There we go. You want to get kind of intimate with it.
Okay. Hey, Mike.
All right. It might be good right there. All right. Okay. So, Nicole, man, we met a few years ago. And I want to say you might have a better memory of this. I think one of the first times we met was probably with my business partner.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so at that point, you guys were talking about CPR to Go, and I think there was like some rebranding stuff, and I think that may have changed. And I think you were also part of, was it Accelerate Acadiana, or was that something that involved?
Yes, it was Accelerate Acadiana. I think it was a partnership so far back with Opportunity Machine and maybe the Community Fund.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was my first accelerator program that I went through. And actually I got pregnant right after that.
Oh, wow.
And so those ideas kind of fizzled because, motherhood kind of took over. But, yep, that's where we first met. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about you. Are you originally from Lafayette? I'm from New Iberia.
New Iberia. All right. The Bay Area. Huh?
The B-Town. Moved to Lafayette in 2020. I went to UL, and I graduated in 2005 and worked for FEMA for a while. Hurricanes Katrina and Rita had just happened, and so I moved to New Orleans for maybe about 4 years and then moved right back to Lafayette. So Lafayette has been my home since the early 2000s.
So why did you move to New Orleans?
Just because that's what the work was.
Okay.
Originally, when I worked for FEMA, I was working the Rita disaster, working in Vermilion.
Okay, that makes sense, obviously, with FEMA, yeah.
And then just growth opportunities became available, and they were mostly in New Orleans because the Katrina disaster was, just a little more significant. Well, I shouldn't say significant, but it was bigger. There was more need there than it was here. And so I just kind of followed the money and the opportunities. And then when that was over, I moved right back to Lafayette. That was a different New Orleans. New Orleans right after Katrina was very different from what it is now or what it was before.
So would you move back to New Orleans today?
So I have actually talked to my boyfriend about that because there's a huge farming community in New Orleans. Like the buy local, shop local, support farmers. that whole movement in New Orleans is way more progressive than it is here. We trying, but
you would think that with a rural community like we are, that we would be more involved or more of a farming inclusive style place.
Right. If you're not growing soybeans or
sugarcane,
maybe corn, I mean, they're like, you do what? But the other thing is Louisiana has such a long growing season, and we can grow pretty much everything except for like some tropical things,
oranges.
No, we could grow oranges.
We can grow,
here.
okay.
Mm-hmm. But, things that might grow in like more tropical areas.
Dragon fruit?
Yeah, we can.
We can't grow that.
We can. Okay. We can. I have one farmer friend. But he's experimenting growing dragon fruit. But I guess we could, but depending on what our winters do. A tropical area where they have like hardly no winter, like Florida or Jamaica.
Or it stays like, it gets maybe as low as 65, 75.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can grow really like, what's a good example? So soursop. Soursop is a really awesome fruit. It tastes like kind of like a pineapple apple mix. It's real creamy, and it's cancer healing. Like, it's something that people use for treatment.
It's high in antioxidants and all that. Yeah.
Yep. And so in Jamaica, it grows wild. I have some friends from Jamaica, and their families have those trees in their backyard. Star fruit. So there's some things that we are limited on, but we could grow a lot of fruit and a lot of vegetables here in Louisiana. And farming is not sexy to people, It's not sexy. Like, back in the day, that's what our people did,
Yeah.
That's how we survived.
Well, I guess in terms of sexy, I mean, if you think about if She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy song, I mean, stuff like that, but like actually getting in there in the dirt and the weeds, no, not too sexy.
Right. Yeah, we are. We've definitely modernized, and we want to be in the AC in front of a computer. We don't want to be plowing.
Nobody wants to plow. What are you talking about?
But man, the other side of that, you have like this huge harvest that you could like survive off of. You could barter with other people. But we've definitely gotten away from that. We've gotten away from that, and we've definitely are more dependent on the grocery stores. Yeah. And the government and the powers to be to really supply us with fruits and vegetables. Right. Right. But we could do that ourselves.
I know.
Yeah.
Before we go too far, we have a few comments. The comments are going a little wild because everybody wants to say, hey. So Katrina King, who is the executive director of Leadership Lafayette, she said, go Nicole, and hey, Ben Powers. Hey, Katrina.
Hey, Katrina.
We got Shira in the podcast listening. All right. And then also for your birthday. Happy birthday, right?
Thank you.
That Shira, make sure to mention that podcast for her birthday. Love it. And then all right, somebody said my screen is frozen. Hopefully it's not frozen. And then Brent Broussard says, what's up, people?
Hey, Brent.
Charles, I don't know if my screen is still frozen. Maybe we're not moving enough. So if it is still frozen, do let me know. But as long as you can hear us, that makes the most for me. But I think my screen looks like it's moving. So with those kind of greetings out of the way, so CPR to go. It's a little bit different than farming. Mm-hmm. How did you get involved in that? Like, what is your? Obviously, you worked with FEMA. You dig in the dirt and you farm, and you don't want to dig in the dirt. Like you said, you want to be behind a computer. We'll talk a little bit more about farming a little bit more in a second. But how does CPR come into play? Are you a nurse, or were you in the medical field? Like, where does that come into your life?
Yep. So I graduated from UL in business management with a minor in marketing. And then I worked for FEMA when I worked for FEMA, I started training. I did a lot of compliance training. That was kind of the area of the department that I worked in. Safety, compliance, and I did a lot of training the employees, the FEMA employees, to work with the population, the applicants that were coming in that, so New Orleans people are different. And so, to take somebody from New Orleans who has just had their world demolished, right, because of this hurricane, they want answers. I mean, most people do, but New Orleans people, you take that up 10 notches. And so it was a lot of, we had to retrain a lot of the FEMA employees on how to interact with this type of person who has just gone through a lot. They want answers. They don't really understand the process. And the FEMA process was a very lengthy process. And so that's why I kind of got my foot into the training kind of compliance world. And so when the FEMA job ended and I moved back, my friend got me on with a company that she worked for, a healthcare agency, and I did training for them. And so I taught all of the new hire orientation, all the annual training, but I couldn't teach CPR because I wasn't CPR certified. And so I had to search for a CPR service, and just doing that, I found that there was like a gap in that industry. And so I convinced the owner of the company that I work for to send me to become a CPR instructor, and she did. And not a month later, she fired me.
Oh.
And so
you got your training in.
I got my training in. And so I should add that, like, I'm not the best employee. It just doesn't work for me. Every job that I've had since I graduated college, I've either gotten fired from or I've gotten laid off from. And so she fired me. I was collecting unemployment, and I took my class through Lafayette General, and the lady at the time who was the director for the clinical education department, she reached out and she was like, do you still want to do this CPR training? And I was like, I don't work for the company no more. She said, that don't matter. The certification is yours. And she was like, I know people who do this, they train for the community, and they make money doing this. And so I was like, okay, let's talk. And so we scheduled a meeting. She just gave me the game on like what I needed to do. And so I worked for this healthcare agency. And one of the things that I knew is that every client, so think about an elderly or disabled person that lives in their own home, and then them having like a caregiver to go work with them.
Right.
So all of these caregiver agencies, all the clients, the participants in the program, they have to sign this freedom of choice list. And the freedom of choice list is basically a directory of all the different agencies that provide this service. And the client literally has to circle that agency's name and initial it. And that's how they say, this is the agency I want to go with. So that list has the company's name, the owner's name, the email address, a phone number, and so a golden list for me to offer CPR training to. So I literally sent out postcards, and I hadn't even got my business license. I just was like, I'm about to start teaching CPR. Yeah. And so I sent out business postcards, I sent out emails, and I got clients. And I started teaching CPR. And one of the things that I recognized whenever I was looking for a CPR service when I worked for this company, if I sent my employees to that company, they would never show up. They would say they got lost. It would be all these excuses. They got there late and the guy turned them around. So I was like, I'm gonna make my business service mobile. So CPR to go, right? And so I didn't have an office. I went to their facility and I taught the class, and I would use the library. And so CPR to go is my first business baby. Like, that's my first baby. Before I had my child, That was my baby. And so...
and when did you start CPR to go?
2011.
2000, okay.
Yeah, 2011. My job with FEMA ended 2009. I worked shortly for that company. She fired me. I started CPR to go. And then in 2014, I went full-time. I got a really, really good like statewide contract, and I was traveling all over Louisiana just teaching CPR by myself. And then in 2017, I went through the accelerator program, and in 2018, I got pregnant. And so at that point, I started contracting with other instructors to help me teach my classes. And that really, like, the light bulb kind of went off that, like, I want to grow this business beyond just, like, me teaching CPR, you know. There's so many industries that are required to be CPR certified every 2 years for the life of their career. So CPR training is not like a want, it's a necessity to stay compliant and to stay working. Yeah. So, and now I've expanded. I teach active shooter response training. And then I do a babysitter's training course, and I could do wilderness first aid and some other things. But I'm also working on becoming an OSHA instructor, so I can add that.
OSHA?
OSHA. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And then I'm also a trainer for the CPR and for the active shooter. I also want to be a trainer for the OSHA training. So then,
a trainer?
A trainer. So trainer is someone who could train somebody to become a CPR instructor.
Okay.
Or to become an active shooter instructor, or to become an OSHA instructor. And then from there, I just want to create this well-oiled system of continually recruiting instructors and building new instructors and growing on the sales and marketing side, and then just matching instructors to classes and not necessarily having to teach class. I think I've been saying since like 2016 or 17, like, I am tired of teaching CPR. It's kind of redundant. You know, you put the video on, the video kind of tells you what to do. It doesn't challenge me at all. So I want to grow out of the training role and really focus on producing more instructors and
multiplying what you already know across a bunch of people that you can send out to on location. Still mobile, right? Okay.
Yeah, I have a location. My office is inside the Opportunity Machine downtown. But most of my clients, I will go to their facility. Again, because as an employer, if you tell your employee, go to this location and go take this class, they're going to come up with a million reasons not to go.
Yeah.
Or they're going to be late, the instructor going to turn them around. And so, mostly mobile, but I do have a location.
Okay.
If need be.
Yeah. So Daisy Kern, she owns the mushroom.
All caps.
All caps, yes.
All caps gourmet mushrooms. Shout out.
Yeah, she says, you're doing all the things. And I was about to say something very similar. You're doing a lot, but it feels like you're doing the amount that you know you can do. At least that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
You may be doing a lot more because obviously what I see on this list, there's a lot more things you're involved in. I want to talk more about all the other things, and the farming stuff is a big one. But I got some sponsors that I do need to mention real quick, and then we will continue on. So our next sponsor is Music Academy of Acadiana. So if you want to unleash your musical potential, let's say you have some potential, and even if you don't, you might be able to foster some potential. They teach students of all ages and styles. So you can be, a jazzy type person. You can be a rock type person, bluesy, R&B, whatever the case may be. They teach piano, guitar. They help you improve your voice. Even if you don't have a voice, they can, put you in a way that can improve it, whatever that looks like for you. Drums, violin, saxophone, even audio production. So maybe you don't have a voice. Maybe you can hear the voice, hopefully, and help make voices sound better, make music sound great. Their experienced instructor caters to, like I said, to students of all ages and styles. They've even helped graduates excel in college and major music competitions like American Idol and The Voice. I don't know who watches American Idol anymore. The Voice, I think, is still somewhat relevant. I see that on TikTok more than American Idol. But still, really cool that they have had students on there. It's founded by UL Lafayette Music School graduate Tim Benson. Check them out, musicacademyacadiana.com. Their goal is to make music lessons fun, educational, and to help foster the next generation of creative thinkers and musicians. And then our next sponsor, and I will plug them up right here. There you go. It's EPS, Electronic Protection Systems. So if you have a house or a business, they can help you get hooked up with a smart security system, the ones you can control from your phone, except they're cheaper than like the big national guys. So, and they're local, which is really good because all the big national guys are like from Utah, most of them. And they're coming over here trying to scoop all the small mom and pop households and getting away from the locally owned security systems like EPS. Their security systems have zero down payment, no out-of-pocket expenses. I know this because they sold me a security system before they became a sponsor. So I became a customer before they became a customer of mine. And I enjoy their products. They do really good with me and never let me down. Literally, I forget to disarm my security system at times, and I open up my back door to let my dogs out, and the alarm system just full blast goes off, and literally not even a millisecond later, my phone is ringing. Hey, you need any help? Is there an issue? I'm like, dude, y'all are so quick. Right. And I literally said, no, I just opened up my back door, and then my glass break sensor went off. And I said, I screamed. So my glass break sensor went off. I don't know if that's good or bad because my voice must have been high pitched or something, but I freaked out. And I told them, no, it's just me. And then I have a code word that you have to give them over the phone. And they said, oh, good. All right. So great monitoring services. They're cheaper than anybody else. They're like $20 a month for monitoring services. So if you pay your equipment off, it's $20 a month. And it's still cheaper with the equipment, too, than the other guys. And also, they have whole home water systems. So like water softeners. Yes, they sold me that, too. Good on them. They showed me how hard my water was and how it tasted funny, because it did taste funny. And they did some tests and made it obvious that my water was in a condition where it could be better. And also, it's better on your appliances. So if you have a water conditioning system, your appliances, like your washer, your dishwasher, anything that has water flowing through it will have less corrosion and all the buildup and all that good stuff. It takes off all the hard minerals. And it improves the taste and smell of the water. They even give you a little water thing at your sink where it's like triple filtered water, fancy stuff. I don't know, it's good. Anyway, you can check them out at eps-online.com, or we also have a referral link that is right there, link.developinglafayette.com/EPS. If you use that referral link, we will make some more money, and we all like to make more money. So thank you to our sponsors, and we'll get back to the regularly scheduled programming here. All right, so I want to go back to something you had said about you not being a good employee. I thought that was so interesting, and not because of you just being a bad employee or whatever have you. I actually can relate. Mm-hmm. I am the type of person from a very young age, and I'm full disclosure, I'm admitting this, that I had an issue with authority figures. Mm-hmm. I was the typical teen, somewhat rebellious. I don't know if I was truly rebellious. I wasn't like a bad kid. But when somebody told me something to do, they were not my mom or dad. And you had like this bossy kind of feel because, being of the millennial age, and especially even Gen Z is even worse. Like the authority figures don't fly. I did get let go at a few places. Mm-hmm. I did my normal personality things, as sassy as I can be, apparently, according to some people. I don't know if I call myself sassy, but I've been told that I've been sassy, even from my parents. And I would be in my employer's building, and I would say something to the effect of, what I thought was normal and what I felt like I needed to say. And apparently it was the sassiest thing I could say, to the point to where one of the HR people said I needed a slice of humble pie. And I'm like, whoa, I've never heard that before. What does that mean? And I said, it doesn't sound good. I don't know what humble pie is, but it doesn't sound good. So needless to say, I lasted there for about maybe 3 months, fired. I did hold some jobs, in the past that I've left from voluntarily. But a lot of them I was let go for one reason or the other, bad employee type stuff. Yeah. And I knew that since like middle school, high school range, that I was going to probably be an entrepreneur type person. Like I wanted to be my own boss. And what's bad about being your own boss is you also have to be that person that fusses at yourself. You're like, dude, you need to do some work today. Right. Like, why aren't you moving? And I beat myself up all the time. So if you ever want to start your own business, you got to be self-motivated. Yes. And that's hard.
Definitely a self-starter. It is hard.
It is hard.
I used to be ashamed to say that every job I've had since college, I've gotten fired or laid off from. But, like, it's almost funny now. Yeah. But I just... Now looking back, like you say, like you could look back and see areas where you were like, yeah, this is what I was destined to be. I always felt like I knew better than my employers. Definitely. Like, yes, you got me doing this. And then the other thing about a job is like having to sit at a desk from... First of all, I feel like a robot. Like having to come in at a certain time, and then I take lunch at a certain time, and then I take my break at a certain time, and then I clock out at a certain time. I don't know. It always felt weird to me to think that like this is what my life will be. I need to be challenged, and I need variety. And it's probably why I do a whole bunch of things. But entrepreneurship has always been, something that I've been destined to do. And I'm glad I figured that out sooner than later. But when I look back at the jobs that I have had, I always felt like I could do better than the boss. They were stupid to me, like just the way they thought. It was also stupid to me that like I could get my job done in 25 hours and then you paying me for 15 hours to just sit and play on Facebook. I thought that was the stupidest thing ever. And so, anyway, I know that that's not who I am. Yeah. And any time, like in the beginning, whenever I started my CPR training business, and then I did go full time, and I'd hit periods where like my cash flow wasn't flowing. Just thinking about having to get a job will like make me emotional and want to cry. Like to have to go back to that, I'm like, I'm out of the woods. I see the light. I'm just not there yet. Yeah. Which made me become a better entrepreneur, So just using that as motivation. Another thing I always say is like, there's no L's. We not losing. We learning. And so it's always just a learning lesson. And so, but yeah, I'm not a good employee. I'm not. It just doesn't work for me.
I like that. Mm-hmm. You're not losing, you're learning.
Yeah, we're not taking no L's over here, Ben. No.
All right. Yes. All right. That's a good takeaway. We only learning.
Yeah, we only learning.
So someone who is the queen of sass, Shira.
Miss Shira.
Yeah, she's listening. She said, sassy isn't always a bad thing.
Right.
And you know that. You know that.
And you know that too, apparently.
Yeah. Look, you know what? The Developing Lafayette brand, if you're listening because of the T podcast and you don't know what Developing Lafayette is, then you need to check that out. But you probably know what it is at this point. the personality of it does echo a lot of my personality, but like I told you, it's amplified. Like when somebody makes a remark that I look at as condescending or sassy on their part, oh, the hairs on my neck stand up. I'm like a cat just about to pounce. I'm like, sass is about to happen.
Right. Sass is about to happen. Watch out, y'all.
And look, you know what? But I do show restraint. There's times where I know the people that are commenting truly don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
And sometimes it's an educational moment. I'm like, look, like I remember one moment in particular. And look, we're going to get back to you. I swear, you got a bunch of stuff. We'll get back to you. But I remember one point in particular where I posted about Chick-fil-A on Ambassador and whenever it was blocking traffic and they were making some updates. And somebody says, why can't they, quotes, they, fix the roads? I'm like, who do you want to fix the roads?
That's so easy to do.
Chick-fil-A is not fixing the roads.
Right.
That's not their business.
Yeah.
They pay their business taxes and whatnot to go to fixing the roads.
Right.
But like, why would you make such a blanketed statement?
Right.
Like, oh, they need to go fix the roads instead of build more businesses. You can't help that.
Yeah.
Like businesses are going to build. And then I love the fact that it's always the they. Who's they?
Them they people.
Them they people.
Been
I'm
trying
telling
to figure
you.
out who that is for the
So
longest.
people in the comments will say, oh, they need to stop putting businesses on this side of town and start putting businesses on that side of town. I'm like, if you're talking about the government they doesn't dictate that.
Right.
They're not playing Sims by dropping and dragging and dropping businesses.
Right.
Do I want more businesses on the north side? Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they're upset. They're seeing the south side grow. And like, I'm upset about it. Did I want to see Topgolf go on the south side?
Right.
No, I don't want to drive on the south side.
Right.
I would have much rather seen it on the north side or along I-10 where it's easy to get to.
Right.
Such is life. So I tell people, like, look, and I don't try to get too sassy with those people because I know that they're frustrated with how things are. But I'm like, look, it is what it is. Businesses are following the best practice to make money. And they are looking at statistics on where the money is being spent. And it just so happens that you, myself, and every other Tom, Dick, and Harry around this city is driving to the south side because you see the traffic to go to these businesses that are coming. So their investment shows that they made the right decision for them.
Right.
But do we need more on the north side? Absolutely.
Yes, we do.
So
yes, we do.
I know.
Yeah.
So going back to you, I want to talk a little bit about L4S Farms. What is that?
All right. So just continuing on with my life story.
Yep.
So 2018, I got pregnant. And prior to that, I went out. So about the time whenever I went full time with my CPR training business, gardening came along as a hobby for me. And I turned my backyard that had absolutely nothing into like garden bed on top of garden bed on top of garden bed. Just the whole space now is just a maze of garden beds and fruit trees. And so then when my boyfriend, who was a high school friend, and he and I reconnected, his family, his grandfather was a farmer. And so this was something that he remembered from his childhood. And so I had started growing, and then he started growing right along with me whenever, we reconnected. And then we got pregnant in 2018. And around that time, we had just gotten into Lafayette's Master Gardener program.
Okay.
So we're both Master Gardeners with the Lafayette chapter. And Master Gardeners, I love y'all. But for the most part, it's a bunch of old women planting flowers. And for the most part, a lot of them rely on using Roundup and weed killers and pesticides and herbicides, and that was not how we were growing.
It sounds like they're in it for aesthetics versus sustainability.
There are a lot of them in there that are about regenerative and sustainable ag or growing, but the majority, they are just growing ornamental flowers to make their yards look beautiful. And some of them will add natives, which native plants, they help the earth, they help the soil. But a lot of them is just the big showy flowers, the roses, the hydrangeas, the hibiscus, And so, although I love that group of master gardeners, that just wasn't really our area. We were looking for a little more. And so right when our class was ending, LSU Ag Center came out with a program called Grow Louisiana. It was a program for beginning farmers, people that had 10 years or less growing experience or farming experience. And it was a mix of on-farm trainings, like on-site trainings, and some classroom stuff. And it was talking about no-till farming, growing more sustainably and regeneratively, where you weren't using pesticides and herbicides to, kill weeds and kill pests, like learning how to do it in a more natural way. Okay. And that's what we found out.
What's the natural way? What is one of the natural ways?
So you could do a lot of different things. So as far as for weeds, when you plant something, you could plant it using landscape fabric. Okay. So a landscape fabric is just like a cloth.
The black cloth?
The black cloth, yep. And you poke a hole where you're going to put the plant, so then the rest of the area that's bare is not growing. The sunlight is not able to germinate a seed, so water and light isn't getting in to germinate these weed seeds, and then you got all these weeds to pick. So that's one way. And then as far as pests go, there's this one pest that gets on my tomatoes, which is why I don't really grow tomatoes, like talking about. Every morning I go with a bucket and I just knock them into this bucket of soapy water. And so it's like hand picking. Or you can like plant other things, like with tomatoes, you could plant basil or marigolds, and the scent from the basil deters the pest. Wow. So it's it's really just like working with nature and not against nature. Using things like hay or mulch to mulch around your plants versus leaving that soil bare so that weeds could grow. So it's just learning how to work. Regenerative agriculture is really learning how to work with nature and how to give back to nature in a way that it gives back to you. So we practice a method called no-till farming. So, sugarcane fields, you see them when they harvest the sugarcane, they burn it down, they transport everything to the plant, and then the land just lays bare until they get ready to plant again. For us, it's always about covering the soil, and so let's say I use hay to cover the soil. The hay will eventually break down and create nutrients for the soil. In regenerative agriculture, we say that we not like, so people will plant and use, Miracle Grow. Yeah. To like force it to fruit or force it to, bring flowers or whatever. Technically, when you farm, you feed the soil, and then the soil feeds the plant. So it's never about just like throwing some Miracle Grow on it to feed the plant, to push the plant to produce, to give me what I want. Year round, we're adding chicken manure or rabbit manure or worm poop. My boyfriend does some worm farming. So just in bins, he has some worms. And these worms so first of all, they eat our scraps. So last night I cut a pineapple. The pineapple skins and all the scraps went in the worm pile. The worms will eat this, then the worms gonna poop, and that poop we put on our soil. Okay. Yeah. And so just learning how to use nature to work. So think about in the forest. In the forest, the leaves fall, the animals poop. life happens. Nobody is like
messing with
it. And in the forest, things grow big and beautiful. So we trying to grow in a way that kind of mimics that.
I love it.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And so when we got into the Grow Louisiana program, I kind of got off a little bit, but when we got into the Grow Louisiana program, we immediately connected with an organization called Earthshare Gardens. And so most people know Chris Adams. He is one of the board members for Earthshare. And he was a facilitator for the Grow Louisiana program. And so at Earthshare, they have a farm incubator program. So they have plots. So let me go back a little bit. So Earthshare has a CSA program. That's how they operate. CSA is Community Supported Agriculture. And so basically they have participants who participate in a CSA program. Let's say they'll pay Earthshare. This is just an example. I don't know how their program exactly runs. They'll pay them $400 in January. And those $400 allows Earthshare to buy seeds and their time to farm. And then in spring, like early spring, when things start producing, the participants of the program will get a $40 share 10 times. So for 10 weeks, they'll get $40 worth of produce for the $400 they paid on the front end. So it's a way to support a farmer or organization on the front end to help them buy the seeds and the supplies to grow the produce.
Yeah.
And then you get your harvest on the back end once they start harvesting. So that's how Earthshare has always ran. But when we came along, they had some empty plots. And we were like, can we grow on those plots? You know, we didn't have any land to farm on. And so right now we farm still at Earthshare. We rent 3 50-foot by 50-foot plots. And that's where we do most of our farming. We grow still at our house, but we do most of our farming at Earthshare in Scott. And it's a great program. Again, they've kind of turned it into an incubator program. And so there's a lot of peer-to-peer interaction. So like if I have a pest that's eating on one of my crops, I can call somebody from like who's working on their plot and say, come see, can you look at this? And they'll say, oh, that's a sting bug. You need to do this to rectify this situation. And if you don't, you got about 2 days before this bug eats all your crop.
Oh, wow.
You know, or you can use this organic pesticide to spray on it. And so growing at Earthshare has been great because it's somewhat affordable, and they offer the water and the tools that we need to farm. So right now, Earthshare is growing there. We're growing, my boyfriend and I, at L4S Farms. And then there's another couple, Tommy and Camilla. They have a business called Wilhelmina's Backyard Nursery, and they grow. So we all grow on that space, and it's a great little, small farming community.
Awesome.
Yep.
I love it. And then you're also involved with Fightingville Fresh. So Fightingville is a neighborhood, right? Community. Yep. And so it is a farmer's market that is in the middle of that neighborhood. Tell me a little bit about that and how you are involved with that.
Yep. So when we went through Grow Louisiana, that program was for the year of 2020. So the first thing that they did with the Grow Louisiana program is they bused us. It was, I think, 18 participants, and they bused us to this farmers conference that was happening in Little Rock, Arkansas. So for a week, we were at this conference, and I always say they knew what they were doing because they bused us there. They didn't fly us there. So 6-hour drive back and forth, the peer-to-peer interaction started happening. And so my business partners with Fightingville Fresh are Kim Kulata and Kevin Ardoin. We all rode on the same van together. And on the way there, we kind of were talking about the way the world used to be, and that there were farmers markets throughout the city because most people stayed within their neighborhood. And so because the Fightingville LaPlace neighborhood is a very impoverished, area with high homeless population, which Kim and Kevin both have history in that neighborhood. We were like, let's start a farmer's market. Like, yeah, we could go, sell to Moncas Park, but let's start this like passion project in a neighborhood that needs, that is a food desert and that needs access to fresh fruits and vegetables. And so before we left that conference, we already knew the location we wanted to be at. I think Kim or Kevin, one of them, knew the owners of the location where we were. And so again, this conversation happened in like late January 2020, and we opened the first market for Fightingville Fresh was on Juneteenth of 2020.
Wow.
So in those, 6 months, we, tracked down the landowners, we signed the deal, we got some insurance, we kind of started reaching out to vendors, and we had our first farmers market. And so you mentioned the Fresh Growers Collective. The Fresh Growers Collective is a business that's inside of Fightingville Fresh. So originally what happened, so Kevin, he grows, he has over 100 acres in Ville Platte that he's growing on. Kim and I are small growers. And so when we first were talking about like how we're going to open the market, Kim and I decided that we were going to put our produce together and display our sale, have our display table together. And Kevin, he had his own because he had so much more produce than we have. And so we started growing together. We started selling with this at the same table together. And we were also responsible for getting new vendors. So when people came in and they wanted to vend at Fightingville, but they couldn't commit to come in on both Tuesdays and Saturdays, we were like, maybe we could hold their products and we could sell it on a consignment basis. So the Fresh Growers Collective is literally just our consignment table at Fightingville Fresh. And so it's an opportunity for people who want to participate in the market. They want to have their products available at market, but they can't commit to staying, all day on Tuesday and all day on Saturday whenever we open. So those two businesses kind of go together.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Man, so the farming aspect of your life seems to be a pretty dominant side.
Absolutely.
Like, how much time do you spend on your farming work and that farming side of you versus the CPR side of you?
So, thank God for Google Calendar, because that's how I stay organized. But so just to add to that, I also homeschool 2 5-year-olds.
Oh my God, that's right. You do homeschool too. Lord.
And I wouldn't change none of that because it's all like, I imagine like in the next 10 years, things are going to be different. I'm not going to have as much, probably in the next 5 years, I won't have as much responsibility on my plate, but I'll still have all these balls spinning. But it'll just look different. Right now, it's hectic because that's just the place I'm at. But I'm up for the challenge. But mainly, I teach CPR because I'm still in the teacher mode. I teach CPR on Wednesdays and Thursdays, mostly. I help my boyfriend at the farm because he's the full-time farmer. I help him on the farm, usually on Sundays. Sundays I really like to take for myself, but going to the farm, playing in the dirt is me time. But Mondays is usually the day that I help him on the farm. So I usually have 1 or 2 days for me that I'm at the farm. He goes to the farm every day. So Sunday and Monday is family time on the farm. The children come on the farm with us. A lot of homeschool lessons happen at the farm. And then, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I homeschool the kids in the morning, and we go to Fightingville from 3 to 5. And then, again, Wednesdays and Thursdays is CPR, and Fridays is my day.
Okay.
Yeah, Fridays, I might take the children to the library in the morning, drop them to my mama, kind of have the afternoon to myself, can do some, girl time if I want. And then Saturdays so as a farm, L4S Farms, we've been at Moncas Park We've been doing that since March. And so we've been at Moncus Park 8 to 12. And then we do Fightingville Fresh in the afternoon from 1 to 4. So every day has purpose.
Yeah.
But Mondays and Fridays are really and Sundays are really my down days. Every other day is go time. I'm at the farmer's market, or I'm at the farm, or I'm teaching CPR. I'm driving to Shreveport. Yesterday, I had a class in the morning in Broussard. I had a class in the afternoon in Baton Rouge. I went to a homecoming in New Iberia. I went out to dinner for my birthday with my family.
Yeah.
Yeah. So most days are like go, go, go. But I do have some downtime. And I try to take time for myself. But
that's good.
Yeah.
Earlier, you mentioned that you're talking about farming in a more modern way. So not playing the dirt as much, because farming is a dirty job.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing right now to try to modernize farming for you guys? Like, you mentioned the computer and all this good stuff. Like, how are you using technology to help in that work of your life?
So, for us, really on the planning side. So, what month we in? We in October.
Yeah, October.
So, in July, we were planning what we were going to farm and what we was going to start putting in the ground for the fall. So we were going to start putting in the ground for August. So we use a system that says, okay, if you put this crop in the ground on this date, and that crop has like a 80 days to maturity, then I know in 80 days from there, I'm going to get a harvest of whatever, cucumbers, whatever. I used to, when I first started farming, which was only a few years ago, I used to just do that on the calendar. But that took time.
Yep.
First to decide what we're going to plant, to make sure we, do a seed order, make sure we got everything down to, like, if I have a restaurant that wants some cucumbers on this particular day for a fundraiser, then I have to plan back to do that. I now have a system that I use. It's just a farmer who created like an open source database that like a souped up Excel spreadsheet that just kind of figures all that out for me. Like if I want to plant on a certain day, or I need it harvested on a certain day. But other than that, we don't really use technology. We use our hands and our feet. We don't till, so we don't even have like tractors.
Okay.
And so Elf-West Farms, we grow mostly turmeric, ginger, and medicinal herbs.
Nice.
Hence the Got Turmeric shirt.
Oh yeah.
So we grow medicinal herbs, and then we make products from it. So one of our flagship products is the black turmeric. So black turmeric is maybe about 10 times more medicinal than the common yellow turmeric that everybody knows about.
Yep.
Turmeric helps with inflammation. It really helps with like every ailment, every issue we deal with in our body. Turmeric can help, because most of our issues are because of inflammation. And so black turmeric tastes really nasty. It's not good for culinary purposes at all. It's really bitter. But if you know anything about the medicinal, like herbal, holistic world, they always say the more bitter a spice or herb is, the better it is for you. Most people know.
That sounds like my dad. Whenever I would want my crust taken off on my PB&J, he goes, "Oh, the crust is the best part."
That's what a goodness is.
Yeah.
I don't know about a PB&J.
I know.
But like on the apple, the skin, yeah. So so when we first started selling the black turmeric, and we would sell it, just fresh. And then we would inquire with customers, like, what you did with it? Oh, it's still sitting on my counter, to the point where it's like, oh, it dried out and I threw it away. So we started making products just to make it more practical for people to actually take the black turmeric.
So you make it in like a gel cap or something?
So we have a capsule. We dehydrate it, powder it, and put it in a capsule. We also make a tincture. A tincture is just an extraction of that herb. And so we use glycerin. Glycerin is like a sweet, sappy, like byproduct of vegetables. And so in big pickle jars, we do glycerin and the black turmeric and a little black pepper, and we just let it sit for 6 to 8 weeks, and then we strain that liquid off, and we pour it in 2-ounce bottles, and we sell it like that. So you call that a tincture.
How do you consume that?
So the bottle has a dropper top, and you would just take a dropper full, and you could put it in beverages.
Oh, okay.
Or you could, the best way to take it is sublingually, which is under your tongue. You put it under your tongue, you hold it for 30 seconds, and it absorbs into your system faster that way. And so we have customers that use our black turmeric products. It replaces their like Tylenol or aspirin or, any of their pain relief over-the-counter things that they use. They've replaced it with
Replaced all? Oh, wow. Man.
Yeah.
That is so interesting I'm going to have to look into the black turmeric stuff because I knew obviously organic herbs and spices, depending on what it is, can help with inflammation and especially your antioxidant type rich herbs and spices. But man, replacing medication, within reason, but that is so interesting.
Yeah. So the active ingredient in all turmerics is a compound called curcumin. Curcumin is the most powerful anti-inflammatory compound ever. Black turmeric has the highest level of curcumin of any plant species. So not just turmerics, but of any plant species, because there are other plants that have curcumin in it also. Black turmeric has the highest level. So it's really powerful. And so just to plug, we sell the black turmeric tincture, the capsule, and we also make a skin healing salve with the black turmeric. We sell those products at Drug Emporium. We sell them at 5 Mile Eatery in the All Center, and we also sell them in New Iberia at Natural Nutrition Center.
So what are they looking for? They're looking for what logo are they looking for?
Usually, first of all, if they ask anybody at those places about the black turmeric products, they can tell you, they can point you to where it is. But it's black turmeric products from L4S Farms.
Okay, L4S.
And so, I didn't add Coffee Wheat Cottage on Simcoe.
Okay, so they have it too?
Yeah,
wow,
we have it at Coffee Wheat Cottage.
Nice.
The owner, Ms. Denise, she had it for about a week. And
she's just down the road from Fightingville.
She's just around, yep. She's our neighbor at Fightingville. She had it for about a week, and then she said, "Is this black turmeric stuff addictive?" And I said, "It can be if you want it to be." But she was like, "I love this. It's helping me sleep better." She rambled off all the different benefits that it's having for her. And every customer says different things. I have one lady who she has cancer.
Oh no.
And she's been taking it. Actually, I have two clients that for sure I know they're dealing with a cancer situation, but this lady comes to the market and she tells me how her levels, they aren't getting worse, they're not getting better, but they staying the same. And for her, that's progress because the numbers were starting to get worse. She's been on the black turmeric tincture probably for about 4 months.
Okay.
And she said that's the only thing I've been doing different besides the medicines they might, whatever, the black turmeric tincture. And I have another guy who he comes for his mother-in-law who has cancer, and he said same thing. Her numbers, sometimes they get better, but for the most part, they stay in the same. And for them, that's progress, because the numbers could be getting worse, But they all say they have a better appetite. They are not as nauseous anymore. But if you research black turmeric, in India, which is where it originated from, it heals everything. They use it for everything. I had a lady who come visit at the farm from India. I had never met her. We put a call out for volunteers to come help us, and she came. And she looked at the leaf and she said, "Is that black turmeric?" I said, "Yeah." And she just started spewing out like 20, 30 different things that they use in India, including healing cancer, diabetes, high blood sugar, high blood pressure.
Wow.
Acne. She said if they have acne, they go and dig some up and they rub it.
Yeah, because acne is inflammation of the skin. Yeah,
exactly. Every ailment pretty much that we deal with is because of inflammation.
Heartburn.
Exactly. Yep. I have a friend who has heartburn and acid reflux.
Yep.
When she said, "I like eating hot chips, I can't help myself." She was like, "But I eat my hot chips and then I use my black turmeric and it makes my heartburn go away."
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So what could somebody expect to pay for black turmeric products from you guys? Like, what does that look like?
So our price range is like $20 to $35 depending on the product.
And like, is that like for a month? Is that for 2 months? Like, what's the
usually a 2-month supply?
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Nice.
Yep. Yeah, the tincture that I've been talking about, that tincture we sell it for $33. Some of the other retailers that we at, they sell it, $1 or $2 higher. But that's a 2-month supply.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was looking at the comment section on the video, and Daisy Kern, who with all caps again, she said black turmeric every day.
Yeah.
So if she's saying it, and she does the whole shrooms vibe stuff, I mean, there's a lot of benefits in that situation, because I had her on several months ago talking about the benefits of like lion's mane and all these other. She even gave me a couple of samples of some stuff, and I use it like in my cooking, and I put some lion's mane. And I think there was another one, I can't remember. Sorry, Daisy. I know there was 2 of them that gave me lion's mane and something else.
Turkey tail?
Turkey tail, yes. And I'll put a drop of that or 2 in my water.
Yep.
It changes the flavor of the water slightly, but it's, I'm like, you know what? It'll go down.
Just trusting it, huh?
Yeah, I'm trusting it. Daisy, I don't know if that stuff expires. I don't know.
So I'm gonna speak on her behalf, and Daisy, forgive me if I'm wrong, but most tinctures can last like several years, 5 years. I think her tincture is alcohol based, and so it should last 5.
And that's the stuff with the little dropper, right? Okay.
Yep. Some tinctures could last up to 10 years.
Wow.
This is how back in the day they preserved the crops that they harvested, so that it could last longer. Because again, back in the day, food was medicine. But I do want to shout out Daisy again. That's my girl. But that turkey tail and the lion's mane tinctures, I use them every day.
Okay.
Yeah. Along with some other products that I could spill out if y'all got some time. Sea moss, sage of sea moss, Angel's ginger water, the brew. She has it's not Sweet Dream. Sleepy Time is this tea tincture combination. I can't think of the name of it, but the brew, the Monglier tea with Brave Brew, Blackbird.
I think I've heard of it, but I haven't had any experience with it.
Yeah. Cold season is coming.
Oh no.
Go get you some Blackbird Botanical Monglier tea. You gotta have that too.
Okay.
I'm probably slipping on some people right now, but between the farmers market, there's a lot of food there, but there's also a lot of great healing products there too that are locally made.
Nice.
That are made by people that and it didn't sit in a warehouse for forever. It was made and presented right to you. I know, like the products I make, they 2 weeks maybe. That has been made. It's not sitting on a shelf. And so there's a difference when the person who grew it or processed it versus it coming from Indonesia and it's set on a truck or in a warehouse for Lord knows how long before it was presented to you. So just putting it out there, no food, no farmers, no food, and know where your food come from.
I like that. No farmers, no food.
Yeah.
And it goes both ways. The KNOW and the NOW.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah, that makes
right.
sense. Yeah. Wow. God.
Yeah.
So,
local people.
Yeah. Shira says, great interview, sis.
Oh,
yeah, I think, man, this is great. I think I learned a lot about what you do, because I've always wondered, like, even though we're in Leadership Lafayette together, the majority of Leadership Lafayette days are filled with so much information that to absorb anything else that day is hard. Yes. But I've always, and you and I, we have talked before years ago, but I've always wanted to have you on and like really understand kind of what you do, and the whole farming thing is just fascinating to me, because I come from a rural area where farming was more prevalent than Lafayette is, but I love seeing that grassroots kind of, all pun intended, movement to make farming more not mainstream, but what's the thing I'm looking for? Just more common.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking, more like I sort of say a household name, but that's more branding related. But yeah, more common in the community. And I think that what you guys are doing with even Daisy and you guys with L4S Farms, I mean, that's really doing. And Kevin, you mentioned Kevin. I tried to get Kevin on the podcast probably in 2020, and there was a moment where he had to reschedule, and we never did actually reschedule. And he had some crops that he had to deal with, and he had to
that's farming.
Yeah, and he had to end the scheduling there. But I want to get him back on, because he's also owner of is it
Cafe 20.3?
20.3. Yeah. So I actually connected with them. I was going to do something with them on that, and I still haven't made it there, but I really want to do that, because he seems like a super interesting guy.
Yeah, he got a lot of great things going on. Yeah, great guy.
All right, Nicole. Well, I am grateful that you were able to come on, and I'm super glad that we had this conversation. And hopefully the people listening, if they haven't learned anything, or at least about you, about what you do, I hope they took something away from that. And if you don't take anything away, take this away. There's no L's, only learning.
We not taking no L's over here.
All right.
Thank you, Ben. Right. I appreciate you.
Yeah, Nicole, I appreciate you too. Hopefully you have a great weekend. It is Friday. I know you're always so busy.
Yes.
So I know Friday's your day.
It's my day. Farmers market tomorrow. Come to Moncas Park, 8 to 12. Fightingville Fresh, 1 to 4.
Yeah, and then one more person too. The hydroponics, Cajun.
Oh, Cajun Acres.
Yeah, Cajun Acres. She does some really cool stuff. I had her on too. So like, you guys are just like a whole farming community, man. I love it.
Yeah, come and get groceries at the farmers market. We got you.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode. And again, Nicole, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
All right. That is it, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget, if you're still listening, tomorrow is the day to vote. I think it is tomorrow, right? The 14th? Yes. And if you haven't early voted, I have not early voted, because I like voting on the day for whatever weird reason.
It feels
the energy is different. The energy is different for me. I like going to the poll, and everybody's like energized about, no matter what you're voting for. I love that energy. So everybody seems to be in good spirits. Anytime I've ever gone, nobody's talking bad about anybody.
Right.
I think that's all media hype. Whenever you watch TV or news, it's all media bias. But when you go to a place and you're talking with people, most people are on the same page. They just want to have a good life.
Yeah. And
they are not 100% sure that their vote is where they want to go, but that's what they believe is the right way. And I think we're all headed in the same direction. Sure. We just want to live a good life and be prosperous and not be broke.
That part. That part.
All right. Okay. I'm pretty sure Shira's like, okay, wrap it up, Ben. All right. Well, again, Nicole, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
All right. Y'all have a good one, guys.
All right.